Hey everybody, we are back. John Delarose here. That's delarose.com, DELARROZ.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there and get some free comics, which is awesome. And then never miss a video. Never miss any of my blogs about awesome comic stuff. All right. We are into Steve Ditko, as you know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, and this is the Steve Ditko Archives Volume 1. Now, Fantagraphics did a 6-volume set of his early short stories that go up through 1959, and they don't cover all of 1959, which is another part. You know, I could get into this for a bit, but there's like 3 or 4 stories in 1959 they didn't put into these volumes for some reason. Don't know why. But you get most of it. So you get most of his 50s work pretty complete, which is pretty awesome. Now, the original came out in hardcover, and now they're re-releasing in paperback. And I missed the Volume 1 hardcover. I have all the other hardcovers. It's kind of annoying. I'll have to get the other one. Now, I'm also very annoyed that the binding of this came apart right away, just from like a light read. I've only read this one time, and the intro came out, and that really upset me. So I don't know if I just got a bad book or if there's a known binding issue with this. I can't tell, just based on one sample, but really upset me. Means I'm gonna have to rebuy the book in order to get this. It's got an intro by Blake Bell, like everything else in these volumes, and then we get some Ditko works in here. All right. So the first story is Stretching Things, and this is the first story Steve Ditko sold. He actually worked before this on a 3D project where he inked some of Jack Kirby's work. And that's kind of how he got his start after going to art school. And then he got hired to pick up this, which is Stretching Things, which somebody gets a Mr. Fantastic power, basically. But it's a dark and twisted version of it, and ends up ruining life. You see Ditko's sort of style developing already through this, in his this sort of like EC style horror, and the stretching guy ends up messing things up. I should note that this is the only volume that takes place in the pre-Comics Code era. So this is the only work where Ditko is really unrestrained, and it's a lot more gruesome than the later volumes, which I've read a couple of those already. You get a lot creepier and more gruesome stuff in this than you do later. Now, are the stories as solid? I think Ditko's art really comes into his own around volume 4 to 6, and it's he continually improves. But the same, you still get the classic Ditko styling in this as much as you can, and it's interesting. The other interesting part about this is it really wasn't dialed in that he was doing horror and sci-fi yet, and they really had him pretty much towards the end on Strange Suspense and Space Adventures almost entirely. He was on a couple of other titles too. But in the beginning here, you get a really different smattering of works, because Ditko's doing different things. He starts out with a romance comic, of all things, and I thought this was a very solid romance comic, very enjoyable. Ditko's not known for drawing pretty ladies, and as you can see, he's the same here. He gets a little bit of booby action there going on. This pre-Comics Code, that's how you can get him so pointy. Can't do that once the Comics Code happens. All right, and we get back into a little more horror, with some standard horror fare here. I like that they actually ran the advertisement here. Don't let ugly pimples ruin your looks, and some horrific shocked looks from Ditko, as he's known for. Buried Alive. This was an interesting one, which, the writing was okay on this. We get into a Western with Range War, so we get some more variety, which makes me happy. And then it continues along, and it really just settles into horror for this next part. We get like a horror Cinderella version of things. And we can see Ditko as he progresses in these first couple of years of his art. And he really starts to get better about halfway through this volume. You can just see the improvement in the layouts. You can see the cool backgrounds and just the different, the like really unique stuff that he drew. Look at this, so cool for once he gets into Space Adventures here. Pretty stuff. And yeah, this is the cover of the volume redone here. This is such a classic, iconic look here. Steve Ditko has a way of drawing the eyes, which gives them this pained and and shocked and distinct feel that nobody else really draws eyes like that. I've seen people trying to copy the style over the years, but nobody can really do it. So cool stuff. Once you get about halfway through this volume, it really picks up. You get a interesting mob story here about trying to fix some horse races with a detective that's hunting things down. And this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. This is some of the prettier women that Ditko drew probably in his career. He really doesn't have that like Ramita or Buscema look where he can do that. He always draws people looking kind of corrupt, I would say, in a lot of this stuff. We have a guy beating up a disabled chick. She's not so disabled, it turns out. She's got some magic to her. And this is a really cool story. And continues on. I love this one where it's a kind of guy who got buried alive and turned into like this radiation being. Ditko's really also known for just his designs. So you notice that like this doesn't look like anything else out there. This is very poignant of a design of a character for an evil character, and so original looking. He's not just a draftsman who's just copying the generic zombies. Look at this demon in here, just so cool. He really creates his own things, and that's what. Look at this worm. This is nutty. This is like wow, worst acid trip dream you could imagine. But apparently he never did drugs either, which is shocking with how in tune to like the evil spirit world he seems to get with some of this stuff. Really great. And it just continues on for a few more things. And I love the covers. These covers are incredible. Look at this skeleton bridegroom. That's just another awesome design. That's like something only Ditko could have come up with. And another beautiful cover here. Very EC Tales from the Vault looking on this one for Strange Suspense Stories. And get a little cat that's attacking everybody here. And that's kind of the last normal story in here. We get a few covers. Oh, we get one more. I'm sorry. And this is a gal who's like got this vial, and it's almost like a spy story, and it's got something to kill people in here. And this is his last story he did for a while, which we'll get into for a second. Well, I guess it's not that. I'm wrong again. We got a guy who's fighting these giant killer ants in Africa, and he's a cruel guy. And eventually he succumbs to the ants because he's so cruel. You always want the villain to get it in the end. And so you get a few covers here, and then you get some strange, silly story, which is more of a comedy, making fun of the car industry here. A very interesting look for the cartoony character, very classic Golden Age style, I think. Pretty neat. And that's where it ends. So at this point, Steve Ditko, I guess, can't make enough money in comics to do it. So he quits comics for a couple of years, and then he'll come back in 1957 with a vengeance. And at that point, he really hits the ground running. So this is the pre-code stuff. It is way out there in a cool way. So if you get one volume, I would probably recommend this one. I think the art gets a little better towards the sort of end of these archives volumes, as I mentioned before, but the storytelling is really watered down compared to this. So you definitely should pick this up. Paperback's not that hard to find. Hopefully you don't have a binding issue like I do. Let me know if you do, because it'd be interesting to find out if it's common across these. Love it. 9 out of 10. Beautiful stuff. I'm very excited to read the rest of the early Ditko years through 1959 through these volumes. Well, hit that like and subscribe button, everybody, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I'll talk to you soon.